In alhamdulillah, wa salat, wa salam Allah, wa rasulullah. To another session of Sunnahfollowers Hadith class. And this is the Hadith class. We discuss hadiths that relate to women, hadiths that relate to women's issues. And with that said, let's put the hadith for today on the screen. And it's a simple hadith that I believe we discussed before in a previous class. A lot of these hadiths are repetitious from previous classes, since I am teaching so many on hadiths. And this hadith is narrated by Abu Saeed al-Khudri. And this hadith answers the question that many Muslims ask about birth control, whether or not birth control is lawful in Islam. A man came to the Prophet, "O Prophet of Allah, I have a slave girl and I withdraw from her. I don't want her to become pregnant." He said, and so I do what the Jews do. They were the ones, the Jews said that withdrawal he said, "I'm asking I can do this because the Jews say that if a man withdraws, it's the same as killing your children." The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Jews have lied. If Allah intends to create, you cannot turn it away. And this is I need to really enforce, because believe it or not, there are some Muslim men that who do not, practice birth control. And their wives come to me complaining, and they say that their husbands say birth control is the same as killing your children. And I just laugh. I say, Allah, we are so much like the Jews. The Prophet said that we will end up imitating them in everything and becoming like them. When the Prophet told us in this authentic hadith, that this is a lie, that the Jews have birth control is not the same as killing a child, because if Allah decrees you to get pregnant, you're going to get pregnant, whether you use birth control or not. Child is born, that's different. You take it upon yourself to bury it in the sand, kill it. Okay, it's not the same thing. So this is a hadith. Every time I come upon it, I kind of chuckle, because I do know Muslim men out there who tell their wives they don't want them practicing birth control, because it's as you're killing your children. How can you kill something that hasn't been created yet? So let's open the floor up for discussion on this hadith. And again, the hadith on the screens, everybody can see. This is the hadith where it's asked the Prophet about birth control. And though he told that the Jews say that this is the same as if you were bearing a girl. And the Prophet said, the Jews have lied. If Allah intends to create, you cannot stop it. Open this hadith up for discussion. Anyone would like to start us off here? Assalamu
alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes. Wa alaikum salam.
Well, if I had known that, I wouldn't have these 8 kids that I had, because that's what I was told, that you wasn't supposed to use no birth control, that all you supposed to do is just lay up there and have them. No type of nothing. Everything, alhamdulillah, for them. But if I had truly known that in my heart, I wouldn't have no 8 kids, period.
Yeah, there's Muslims that follow Jewish traditions, and they have such hatred for the Jews, but like the Prophet said, you them and you act like them. For example, when you come upon those Muslims that tell you that it's haram to eat shrimp, it's haram to eat lobster and crab because these are scavengers from the sea and we can't eat scavengers. That's not true. But the Jews, that was a punishment. That was a punishment that Allah inflicted on Jews, because they disobeyed him. Allah says anything comes from the sea is good and clean, and we can eat it no matter what it is, including its dead. but, you find a lot of Muslims, following traditions of the Jews. And this is one such tradition of theirs, but as you can see, the prophet says, if Allah wants something to be, it's going to be, look how many women got birth control pills and got pregnant. Look how many of us have gotten pregnant off of contraceptives. So Allah speaks the truth. Yeah, anyone else would like to share their intake on this hadith? Anyone else?
Assalamu alaikum, Layla. I just need to make myself clear. That's what I was told, that you can't use birth control. No. And then I was also told that stuff about you can't eat shrimp. That it was just a messed up thing, messed up understanding all the way around. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of Muslims still believe that. Like I said, we follow the Jews. Like the prophet said, we'll imitate them to the point they crawl into a hole, we'll crawl in behind them. So that's why it's important for us to learn Islam and its truthfulness, with the correct understanding of the companion. Because there are so many misconceptions out there. And even to this day, you have learned men who call themselves learned, or men who call them scholars, telling you that you can't do birth control to this day, or that you can't eat shrimp and things like, so, this is an ongoing battle, that we are as Muslims, how people don't understand the religion and put out the wrong information about it. Yeah. Anyone else? No one else has anything to share? The hadith. Well, alaikum salam, Sister Fatma. Go ahead.
Can you just put up the hadith again? Okay. I feel like this is very important because, like, a lot of people, like, they need to understand that Allah can do whatever He wants. Like, if He wants you to get pregnant, then you will. If He doesn't want you to get pregnant, then you won't. And, like, it doesn't matter whether you plan or you don't plan. Like, Allah does what He wants. And I mean, like, we all know, like, especially nowadays, like, you have all these technologies and, medications and stuff that will help a person conceive or not conceive. But in the end, it's all up to Allah. So it's like, if Allah wants it to happen, then it happens. And if He doesn't want it to happen, then, it doesn't happen. And I know, like, this hadith is, like, referring to, like, not trying to get pregnant, but, like, something I just want to mention is, like, sometimes, like, especially, like, people who are from, like, foreign countries, like, they just look at women as, they're meant to make babies or, like, have a lot of kids and all that stuff. And like, when they see, like, a young or just a married couple, like, that's the number one thing that they focus on. Like, they always, like, question on, like, it's like that pregnancy is like, when are you gonna have a baby, or is your wife pregnant? It's like when are you gonna have kids? Like, that's like the number one thing that they always throw in your face, and they look at you like there's something wrong with you not like understanding the circumstances or anything. They just look at you like it's weird, like why don't you have a baby yet? And it's just so crazy. I mean, like, they don't realize that it will happen, like, when Allah wants it to happen. If Allah says it be, then it will happen. If He doesn't, then it doesn't happen. It doesn't matter if the couple want it or if society expects them to want it or any of that stuff. It's all up to Allah. And a lot of people, they don't really understand that. Like, Allah knows what's best for us. He knows what we can and can't handle in our lives, and His timing is always perfect, and He knows the right timing for us in everything in life. So, that's just something I just want to throw in there.
Yeah, this is too, especially for young couples. A lot of, when you get married, they expect you to immediately get, and people try to ridicule you and make you feel bad or guilty because you're not. Hadith is a good hadith to let us know. I mean, Allah is the best of planners. That perhaps, you want to wait until you get yourself together financially. You want to wait until things get better. I mean, it's good to know as a young couple that you to just jump in there and try to get pregnant. I mean, if you want a contraceptive or something, then this is permissible. Of course, we're wants us to procreate. And of course, what couple doesn't want to have children? But we need to stop each other too, because sometimes people don't use birth control and they get pregnant and it just doesn't happen. Nothing is going to happen until a law says it. It can take 15, 20 years before a person can get pregnant, so we need to also to not put so much stress on our couples when they get married, because you don't know what's going on. That couple can be trying to conceive, but a lot something else in mind for them. So we shouldn't try to ridicule, pressure our newlywed people either. Allah is in control. Anyone else would like to share their take on this hadith? And again, hadith, whereas a man asked the Prophet about contraceptive, because the said that if a person uses contraceptives, then this is the same as killing your child. The Prophet said the Jews are liars. This is a lie. If Allah intends to create, he creates and nothing can stop it. Anyone else would like to share? Go ahead.
This hadith just emphasized to me that if you want something not to happen, knowing that it is allowed to do so, just take the steps that are needed for you, take the steps that are needed for that not to happen, and still know that, like you just said, nothing will happen without the will of Allah. No matter how much you try, if it's not written for you, it's not going to happen. And sometimes people who even don't try, those are the ones that will just get it so easily. SubhanAllah.
Exactly. This is another hadith that illustrates to us the importance as Muslims understanding that everything that happens, good and bad, from Allah. It's the qadr of Allah. And this is the problem that Muslims have. The Prophet said, the pagans of our nations are those Muslims who can't accept the qadr of Allah. And so this is another hadith that also illustrates control, and we have to learn to accept his qadr, because you can use birth control and still, or you cannot use birth control and not get pregnant. And nothing's going to happen unless Allah. Yes, Sister Isra, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Okay, I just wanted to first, before I add my 2 cents, I wanted to piggyback what Sister Fahmy said, because I feel like not only from the Bantu perspective, I feel like this is just widely spread, across the Muslim communities where, couples are pressured to have children and whatnot. And to me, it's sad and it's just ignorance, because like as Muslims, we should know everything comes from Allah. Like Allah gives children and Allah takes them. And for the people who take pride in, 10 children, 11 children that they have, like they forget that Allah could take all of them at once in the blink of an eye. And so as we talked about one of the names of Allah, we just need to make dua for people, because when you're asking, you're putting pressure in them and you're stressing them, and you don't know what this person is going through, And so like I remember growing up, before I came across your website, I remember, people would say we need to have more children because the Prophet ﷺ told us, like our ummah should outnumber the rest of the people of the book. And that means we should just have babies every single year and not question what the Prophet ﷺ said. And I remember just being afraid of getting married, because everybody knows themselves and their limits and capabilities. And I knew that I wouldn't be able to handle a lot of children, because that takes a lot. For me, it's always, the quality over the quantity. I wanted children who are well educated, religiously speaking, and make sure that they get worldly education as well, so that when they grow up, they're well off and they're self-sufficient and whatnot. And also, like I've seen and witnessed, parents who have, 10 children, 11 children, and they have all kinds of disease and they're sick and they're not able to take care of them. They're not able to give the kids quality time, and, they're favoring some over the other. And I'm like, I feel like having 2 children who you have spent a lot of time, educating them on Allah, and, making sure that if you were to die, they're upon the correct path is more important to me than having 10 or 11 children. And so when in high school, when I came across your your website, I was like, oh my God, thank you. Somebody at least is saying something that I want to hear, and which is in alliance to, you know, what Allah and, you know, the Prophet ﷺ said. Now I can basically shop around and see someone who has the same mindset. And I had to turn around a lot of good men because they wanted pop babies every year. And I was like, I'm sorry, I know myself, I won't be able to do that. So I want you to marry someone who's on the same page as you. And alhamdulillah, I was able, Allah gave me a good husband who is on the same page as me. And I feel like it's just so important not to rush into marriage, and making sure that you sit down with the person and ask what their preferences are, what they want, what they see in the future with you, and for you to vocalize what it is that you want, and not just say okay because your parents want you to get married, and or you get married because you're being pressured in the community.
Exactly. That was so well said, because like she said, the pressure, a lot of people misconstrue the meaning of that hadith. The Prophet is not telling us to make babies. The Prophet is telling us it's already decreed, we will outnumber the people. The Prophet saw that when he went on his night journey. So Allah has all decreed that we will outnumber them, you know. So whether you have a child or not, we're still number them. So that's already decided by Allah. But a lot of people read that hadith and to mean that we got to keep making babies. That is not what it means. That hadith is saying the opposite. It's saying that we will outnumber them. And of course, children are sunnah for Allah, you know, because they make dua for you when you die, and you know, Allah created us and all that, but nowhere does the Prophet say keep having a bunch of babies. That's a misinterpretation of the meaning of that hadith. I mean, subhanAllah, if that were the case, and Allah would all his wives have babies. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, none of his children survived except, okay, and so none of his sons survived. So that's an example of a misinterpretation, you know, of the meaning of a hadith. Okay, inshallah, this was a very informative class. Participation. I'm going to put the hadith back up on the screen for one final time. A man asked the Prophet, he said, "O Prophet of Allah, I have a slave girl and I practice deceptive with her because I don't want her to get pregnant. But the Jews said that doing is the same as killing her." And the Prophet said, the Jews have told a lie. If Allah intends to create, you cannot stop it. So again, guys, we're gonna out this session. I want to remind everybody to please follow the schedule. We have other classes scheduled. Be here at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The names of Allah, and I did get the name for today up. So look for it on my profile or the Sunnahfollowers group page. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. I'm live in the Zoom.